Hello friends, and welcome to The Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Well friends, the new moon has passed, and so I have changed out my decks. I've got almost a whole new set of decks, and so the spread is also going to be a little bit different. So let's take a look. I know I say this every week, but I think the artwork on these cards is also beautiful, extraordinary. And I think they also work very well together. What do you think? If you're curious about the creators of these decks, as usual, there will be information at the end of the video as to who they are, and there will be links below if you want to go purchase one or all of these decks on your own. So check out that information. The decks that we are using, I'll tell you briefly, are the Empathic Oracle, which is the center line of 3 cards, and then Inquiry cards, which I use every week for my weekly spread. Now, I've been using my week ahead spread for these videos for a little while now. And then the 2 sets of tarot cards that I'm using are one, the Tarot of de Sainte Croix, which is the orange bordered deck, a beautiful deck, that orange color inspired me for a July to August deck. So that was my first selection for this set of cards. I based this whole pairing on the Tarot of Sainte Croix. And the card next to it, to balance out a little bit of a cooler tone, is the Fountain Tarot, a mass market deck that is very easy to get a hold of. So again, the information will be at the end of the video. So friends, the spread, we've seen it. Let's dive into the first row of oracle cards from the Empathic Oracle. So you can see for this oracle deck, I decided to go with a 3-card central message. And we have 3 cards. One is on the left, purity, in the center, manifestation, and on the right, past. And to me, this spread is talking to us about manifestation. For those of us who understand the power, the immense power of the river of intention, we also know that the river of intention is what moves us from manifestation to manifestation. And manifestation is perhaps not the main purpose or the only purpose of our being in this physical universe, but is certainly one of them. Starting with these bodies that we have. We are manifesting these bodies every moment of every day that we are alive in this universe. So manifestation is very important for all of us if we want to stay in the physical universe. And manifestation, I believe, to many, is either that moment when something appears before us. Yeah? That moment when something is created for us, an experience, perhaps, falling in love, or an art creation, perhaps when it is completed, or even when it's begun, perhaps. A new job, when we get selected from perhaps an interview. All of those things many of us consider to be that moment of creation, that point of creation. We think of it as that time when we realize something. Or some of us think of it as the payoff, yeah? The prize at the end of the struggle, or at the end of the challenge, or at the end of the process. It's the prize, the thing that we're shooting for. I think there's another way to think of manifestation, and I think this other way is probably more in line with an intentional life. And this spread is pointing us in that direction. And pointing us, I think, is a key idea for this spread, because this spread is talking about the process of manifestation, and more than a process, the trajectory of manifestation. Now, we see manifestation as the central card, but it's framed by the past and purity, which is a present state. So, manifestation, if we think of it as the trajectory from the past to the present and pointing us towards the future, I think we have a better understanding of what manifestation is in an intentional life. So, let's begin with the past. The past as the past. What is the past? Does it exist? I would say no. The past does not exist. It is no longer in any form other than our memories. And remember, my memory of the past and your memory of the past are going to be different. Even if we are in the same room at the same time experiencing what we consider to be the same thing, our memories are going to be different. We have different points of focus. We have different amounts of information that have passed through our individual filters and been translated by our individual perceptions of experience and the ways that we perceive experience. Each of our experiences of life are different. And our memories of those experiences are even more different, because the parts that we retain in our memories are going to be even more divergent. I'm going to remember some things and you're going to remember some things, and those things are not necessarily going to be the same things. Even if we perceive them very similarly, we will have different parts of them stored in our memory banks, if you will. Because that's the way memory works. And the past is not something that we experience because it is gone. It is gone. The only thing that remains is memory. So we have to remember that when we talk about the past, what we're talking about is our experience of the past, our memory of the past. And we are experiencing it here in the now, which can also change. My memory of a past event today can be very different from my memory of a past event 10 years from now or 5 years ago. Our memories also shift over time because they're colored and they're filtered again and again through our new understandings of reality, through our new understandings of who we are, where we are, and what we are doing. All of that is part of our memory, individual memories. So, what is the past for us then? If it's not something that we can all agree on, if it's not something that exists, why is it so important? It's important because we are still living in a physical universe that is an infinite now, which is also part of a trajectory from a past which no longer exists into a future that does not yet exist, but is constantly, that trajectory is constantly shifting because of our moment by moment experiences. It's like an airplane. When an airplane is traveling from, for example, I'll pick two places, from San Francisco to Seoul, Korea. That airplane is not going in a direct line. It's not even going in a direct arc. That airplane is constantly shifting course and recorrecting and recorrecting and recorrecting because the trajectory is always a little bit different, a little bit off, a little bit, it shifts. And so does our trajectory in the current of intention. However, there is a trajectory. It's not chaos. There is a trajectory. And the past is what has informed our present trajectory. So, what should we do? We should honor the past. I think many of us tend to fight with the past, wish that something had not happened, or perhaps are disappointed with something that didn't happen. Now, those are two extremes, perhaps. Wish something didn't happen or wish something had happened. Rather than criticizing the past for how it had not met our expectations of what we think our past should have been, honoring the past for how it has brought us to where we are is a very important step in allowing ourselves to flow with intention towards our manifestation in our imagined future, our envisioned future. So, honoring the past is important, and how it has gotten us to where we are here in the current, present, now, and now, and now, and now. Also, however, we don't want to let the past define us. What does that mean? Many people think that I am who I am because of the past. And sure, the past has colored our perceptions, certainly. But it is not all of who we are. For example, my past trauma does not define me. I am who I am. I am the one who experienced this experience in the past, but that experience is not me. I am not I am not the victim, for example. When I was attacked by a group of two, isn't a group, a couple, a pair of men in the dark, late at night, I experienced a beating. However, I am not the beaten one. I am not the victim. I experienced victimhood, but that does not make me a victim. When I had a gun pulled on me in the dark, living in Sacramento, I was going in through the wrong part of town, you might say, and I went up to someone who looked like they might have needed help, or I don't know. I walked up to someone and they told me to leave. They had a gun pointed at me. Okay, I could have carried that experience again as, oh, I am the frightened victim who has to be careful of everywhere that I go. I could have let that define me as the victim once again. However, I do not allow that to happen because I am not the victim. I am the one who experienced an experience. But there's the experience and then there is me, the eternal me who is experiencing things in this physical universe, and those experiences are coloring and shaping my understanding of how to traverse this physical universe, but they are not defining who I am. And on the good side, when I performed for a group of people on a stage and got applause, I am not the magnificent one. I am not the brilliant one because of that. That does not change who I am. I am someone who experienced applause on a stage, but that doesn't mean that I am the applauded one. Do you understand that? We don't want to let our past experiences define who we are. We understand how they will direct or help shape our understanding of reality. They will help point us in directions because we will have an experience that we like, and we might want to point in the direction of a similar experience in the future. Or there might be a frightening experience that we might decide, I don't want to have that experience again. And we might again shift course with our river of intention. However, that does not need to define us as that victimed person, that applauded person. We are still who we are, if we allow ourselves to be. But many of us pile on these experiences as self-definitions. And we want to avoid that as much as possible. We want to realize that our emotional baggage that we carry from the past weighs us down in the current of intention. If we imagine intention as a powerful, flowing river that moves us in the direction of the manifestations and the choices that we have made, we can think of ourselves as the ones who allow ourselves to move with the current of intention. More easily or less easily. We're going to move one way or the other because that's the way the universe works. We're going to move in one way or the other. But we can move with more ease and more quickly, or we can move slowly, almost imperceptibly, because we are so weighed down. Do you know what ballast is on a boat? Ballast is that thing that they put at the bottom of the boat to keep it from tipping over. It weighs it down. It allows it to sink deeper into the water, which is something that a boat needs. However, if there's too much ballast, that boat can sink. Yeah, the too much weight will overbalance the law of displacement, which keeps the boat floating, and it can sink. It will still move, even if it's at the bottom of the river. It will still move slightly downstream, almost imperceptibly, because it is still being pushed with the flow of the water. But it's very slow going, right? So the emotional baggage that we carry is like our ballast, and it will sink us in the river of our intention. Triggers from past experiences can also cause us to shut ourselves down and sink again a little bit within the flow of intention. So the baggage, the emotional baggage, the triggers that we carry with us from our past experiences can be things that cause resistance to the powerful current of intention and resistance to our possibility and potential for manifesting in the future. So we want to honor the past. We want to accept the past for what it was, for what we have learned from it, for the trajectory that it has provided us, but not be weighed down by it, not to be defined by it. And when we notice ourselves being triggered by it, now notice how there's so much talk about trigger warnings. All of those triggers are things that we have created for ourselves, and we can let those triggers go. We can let them go and open ourselves more fully to the powerful flow of intention, to the present, to the never-ending, infinite present moment, which is where we want to rest in purity. Now, what is that purity card? That purity card is a card of non-judgment. It's a card of not judging what is. So, remember, we're going to try and let go of judging the past. We're also going to try and let go of judging the present, judging what is. We want to retain that beginner's mind rather than looking at what is around us and where we are and what we're experiencing and either judging it for, no, this isn't supposed to happen, it shouldn't happen this way, I didn't want this to happen, I didn't ask for this. Also, wow, this is so magnificent, I wish this would never end. Those are both judgments which we want to avoid. We want to have beginner's mind, where we receive everything with wonder and curiosity and what is this good thing, and why does it feel so good, and how does it feel so good, and how does it really feel, and what is this bad thing, and why does it feel bad, and how is this bad thing happening, and is there a way that I can move away from in another direction, rather than judging it as, no, this shouldn't be happening. This is very difficult for us because we learn to judge as we grow up. In many of our households, we learn to judge from our parents, from those around us. We weren't so judgy when we were born as babies, but we learn to judge and to react to things as, yes, this is something I have to hold on to because I like it, or no, get it away. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have the opportunity to choose. There's a difference between judging and choosing, I believe. We can choose. This experience that I'm having now, I don't like it so much. And I choose to move in a different direction. Or this is an experience that I am enjoying right now. And I choose to have that experience, this experience again, or something similar to it again, and move in that direction. Yeah, those choices will guide the direction of the flow of our intention. However, we want to avoid judging this for what it is now, as much as we can. So we can ask ourselves some questions about that. For example, am I jumping to conclusions, or allowing the flow of what is happening to me now to guide me? Am I jumping to conclusions? Sometimes we're experiencing things that actually are on our path to what we want, and we think that it's an experience that we don't want to have. We think, I didn't want to meet this person, I wanted to meet that person. But this person is in my space now, not knowing that a free association with this person might lead us to another person, to that person. When we judge what we are experiencing and jumping to conclusions about where this is leading, this is another way that we close ourselves off to the flow of intention. Also, if we're allowing what is happening to us now to guide us rather than our own intention to guide us, we are also, again, closing off to the powerful flow of intention and instead being reactive to the present moment. We want to stay open as much as we can to the present moment in pure mind. Choosing, allowing ourselves to choose, this is something I want to continue or I want to experience again. This is something I don't want to experience again, but I trust that my intention is flowing me in the direction of where I want to go. That is the beginner's mind. That is the mind and heart that is open to the powerful flow of intention. So we've gone from the past, honoring the past and what it has taught us, but not allowing it to define us, into the present, which is something we can allow ourselves to experience openly, not reactively. Into manifestation. Manifestation. The trajectory towards the future. Not living in the future, not trying to escape from the present into the future, but rather understanding the trajectory of manifestation. Understanding that we are abundance and we are going to have an abundant future. And that abundant future is our manifestation. Knowing how to attract what we want And knowing that process of attraction is a process of allowing ourselves to move with intention and allowing the manifestation to come into our experience. It's a bilateral trajectory. And also that we are guided. We are guided by intention, which is also guided by our eternal selves. Those non-physical selves that are now having this physical human experience, that fullness of self that knows where we are and where we're going and is 100% with us in our choices and our free will of deciding I want to do this more and I want to not do that again if I can. So manifestation is our trajectory from the past into the present, pointing us with our current of intention into the future. And having trust that that is what is going to happen. Because intention just is. Just like gravity just is. We learn to work with it. We are always learning to work with the powerful flow of intention. And trying to remember that intention is, manifestation is not a goal, it's not a prize, nor is it a momentary physicalization of an idea or a vision or a desire. It is a trajectory that leads us to experiences with the powerful current of intention. Does that make sense to you? If you have any questions about that, I'd love to hear from you and here in the comments below. But remember, we've got 4 questions to ask about this trajectory of manifestation. So let's take a look at that first question. So the first question is, my friends, what is the easier way? Now, easier than perhaps being defined by the past. Easier perhaps than being absolutely judgy about what is happening right now. What is the easier way? And the 2 answers to the question, which are in conjunction, are, you can see the Judgment card and the Queen of Wands, which is a perfect pairing. And again, aren't these cards gorgeous? And don't they look beautiful together? Don't they look absolutely balanced? Judgment is rebirth, but it's also awakening. So what is the easier way? The easier way is to allow ourselves to be reborn at every moment of the infinite now. Realizing that our past experiences do not define our present life. We can be reborn every moment of every day, of every year, of every life. We can awaken to the reality of what is. We can hear that inner calling which moves us forward through every now that exists, to now, to now, to now, to now. Now that inner calling, that is part of the powerful flow of intention. It's our spiritual realization that we are spiritual beings having this physical human experience. So, the first part of the answer is to wake up. The easier way is to wake up to who we are in this moment and to hear the call, to allow ourselves to be open enough to hear the call of our own voice, which has set the course of the river of intention for us, which is also part of a collective flow of intention. All of our intentions all merge together into one greater, infinite river of intention. But the easier way is for us to wake up in this moment to who we are. And as we wake up in this moment to who we are, who do we realize we are but the Queen of Wands? And you see in that card how she is in the middle of this flow of energy. Now this flow of energy, not pushing her forward, not dragging her forward, but she's there with this powerful flow of energy, kind of skating on ice or blowing with the wind. Not out of control blowing, but smoothly blowing with the wind. She is the queen of courage. She is the queen of confidence. I am confident in myself, in the now, and that I am moving with my intention. It's my independence that I don't have to follow his flow of intention or her flow of intention or their flows of intention. I have the independence to flow with my current, in my way, with my passions and my creativity, towards whatever it is, my new relationship or the improvement or development or evolution of the relationship I'm in now, to my new job or to the expansion of the job or the career that I have now, to my understanding and my discovery of my spiritual path and that growth. Whatever your flow of intention is directing you towards, your independence within that flow, not needing to follow anybody else's directions or their flows of intention. Also realizing that the currents will mingle and part along the path. It's also that self-assured determination that I know where I am going, or I understand where I am going. I might not know the times, the places, the specifics of how I'm going to get from here to there, but I understand and I am determined to be open to the flow of intention, because that takes a little bit of determination. There are a lot of things that are going to come at us as we move with intention that could cause us to want to shut down, could cause us to want to close off. And it takes determination and courage to remain open and have the faith to flow with intention. So that is actually the easier way. The easier way is to be open. And it takes a little determination to do the easier way, because a lot of people teach us to do it the hard way. To turn your boat around, as one of my favorite teachers, Abraham Hicks, says, to turn your boat around and point it upstream and work hard and go in the opposite direction of where you really want to go. We're taught to put in effort and to suffer, and that suffering is a sign that we are working hard. There is an easier way. The easier way is to remain open to the now and to flow with courage and determination, being your own Queen of Wands, moving with intention. Let's look at the next question. The next question is, what is the opportunity in the present, in the now, in our purity, in our pure openness to what is? What is the opportunity? Why do we want to do that? Besides being open to the powerful flow of intention, is there another reason? Is there an opportunity in that? And there are two cards answering that question. One is my favorite card in the tarot decks, the Hanged Man. That's why I call myself the Hanged Man in the Moon, because those are my two favorite cards, the Hanged Man and the Moon. And the Hanged Man is hanging right next to the Ace of Swords. And these cards in conjunction reveal a very important truth. The Hanged Man, for me, is the card of taking a pause. Not trying too quickly to move forward. The present moment gives us the opportunity to take a pause, to surrender to what is. Not rather than fighting against what is, or trying to hold on to what is, clutching what is, but rather surrendering to what is at the moment, letting go of our resistance and gaining a new perspective. Because it's in our surrender to the present and opening to what is that we allow ourselves to get that new perspective. And perhaps the ultimate new perspective is what Buddhists would call enlightenment. That is perhaps the penultimate new perspective. Realizing truly, deeply, who you are, where you are now. That is what enlightenment is. Realizing, I am this. And I'm not even this, because that objectifies. I am. I am is, and this is just my intellectual understanding and an intellectual way of describing it, but the ultimate new perspective is enlightenment. And perhaps that's not the perspective that we should be expecting, because that expectation sets up a barrier to perhaps the potential for enlightenment at any moment. However, surrendering to the moment is where we get those new perspectives. It's where we get our new understandings, letting go of our trying to control what is, allows us to gain understanding, allows us to gain grace, allows us to gain the possibility of prophecy. Because our eyes are truly open. We're not looking for things. Our eyes right now, in this moment, are open to what is. And our intuitive minds can function much more smoothly, easily, effectively, and bring forth information which could be, in some ways of looking at it, prophetic. And it's that prophetic idea which leads us directly into the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords is breakthroughs. It's new ideas. It's mental clarity. And you can see in this Ace of Swords that sword is somewhat like an image of Excalibur, is radiant. There's a beam, a powerful beam of light shining all around it. And that mental clarity of surrendering and being open to the present moment, of truth, of honesty, being honest with ourselves and others, and experiencing the truth of what is in the present moment. And did you notice in the Hanged Man? The Hanged Man is formed with stars in the Tarot de Saint Croix. Because in this moment of surrender, of letting go, the Hanged Man is now open to the entire universe. And as the Hanged Man is open to the entire universe, this possibility of the Ace of Swords is revealed. And the Ace of Swords is also about communication, new ways of communicating. Because remember, manifestation is a co-creative process. It's a co-creative trajectory. And so, as we get a new understanding, as we gain perspective, being able to find new ways of communicating that is also important to living an intentional life. Because the way I communicated 10 years ago is not going to serve me now. I want a new way of communicating, of relating new information that is not colored by the past, but is open to the present. So, what is the opportunity? The opportunity is to surrender to what is, to open to a new perspective, and allowing that new idea, that new understanding, that flash of clarity, space to reveal itself. Let's look at the third question. So the third question is, what am I hoping for? And remember, when we're talking about manifestation, we're talking about a trajectory. Remember, from the past to the present, pointing towards future experiences. So those future experiences are also part of manifestation. What am I hoping for? And the two cards which appeared here are the Seven of Cups and the Four of Swords. Very interesting pairing. Very interesting. Now, the Seven of Cups in the Tarot de Saint Croix look like teacups. And they look like, have you ever experienced or have you heard about people who read tea leaves? Yeah? That's a form of divination where a person will pour another person tea. They will drink tea. And this is back in the day, and also now, when people used loose tea leaves. We're not using tea bags, but loose tea leaves. So there were also always leaves of tea left at the bottom of the cup. And so those leaves with the remaining little bit of liquid would be swirled around, and then a pattern would be observed. What kind of pattern can be seen in these tea leaves? So you can see those cups have tea leaf-like images at the bottom. So it's a kind of divination in this deck. So the Seven of Cups can be opportunities. Now, what opportunities can I see for myself from the present? What are my wishes? What wishes do I see that are potential directions for me to flow towards with the current of intention? These are also choices. I can choose to go more in the direction of one or more in the direction of the other. Or allow intention to arrange them in the flow of my course of intention and the course of my life. It's a cup of dreams, daydreams. But in this card, being seen very divinatorially. Is that a word? Divinatorially? Seen in the process of divination. So, this card is part of divination because of the way the images was described by the creator of this deck. So, what am I hoping for? Some of that can be revealed by doing divinatory practices like reading tarot cards or doing tea reading, learning tea reading, or having your tea leaves read, or some other divinatory process or practice. So what am I hoping for? Some of that can be revealed through the Seven of Cups. And knowing that we can choose. And realizing that some of them might be illusion, but if we can imagine it, we can trust that we can manifest it in the future. So, illusion can become vision if we want it to. And vision can become intention, a point on our stream of intention, and then we can experience the trajectory of manifestation towards that. And then right next to it, we have the Four of Swords. So, the Four of Swords is the card of repose. Now we see a person cross-legged in repose in this card. It's a card of relaxation and a card of meditation and contemplation. which is, I think, the pair to divination and envisioning the future. A practice of meditation and contemplation and being able to clear out our mental space so that we have the space to envision where we are going, envision the experiences we want to have, envision what we want and what we are hoping for, and clarifying that through our envisioning, through our daydreaming. Being able to clear our mental space to be able to daydream. Those are processes of discovering what we are hoping for. So, what am I hoping for? Well, I can find out by perhaps doing some divination, but also by allowing myself the space to visualize, to envision, to daydream where I am going. And as I daydream, as I visualize, I can also clarify those dreams. Now let's look at the last question. The last set of cards is perhaps the primary reason that I knew that I had to use, or that I really wanted to use, this spread for this week's video, because I think it is perfect. Absolutely perfect. What needs to be balanced? The question is good. The answer is what got me. The answer, you can see we have two knights of balance. The Knight of Wands, the Knight of Fire, and the Knight of Cups, the Knight of Water. What needs to be balanced? We need to balance our fire and our water. I mean, what could be more perfect? Both of them being knights, what could be more perfect? So let's just take a moment to review. We've come through manifestation, it's a trajectory. What is the easier way? Being open to what is, to the eternal now, and having the confidence to experience what we are experiencing. The opportunity is to be open again and allowing breakthroughs and realizations and perhaps even enlightenment. What am I hoping for? As we are open, we have this space and we allow ourselves the time to visualize, to envision, to dream, to daydream where we want to go. And in order to get there, in order to keep ourselves on trajectory, we want to balance. We want to have balance. And what needs to be balanced? What needs to be balanced is our fire and our water, our passions and our emotions, our creativity and our intuition. Now, these two can also work in harmony. In fact, we want them to work in harmony. We really want them to work in harmony as we move with the powerful flow of intention. However, if one dominates the other, we get out of balance and then we topple over. We want to have our fire and our water in good balance. And you notice that these are both knights, the most active of the court cards. The knights, the ones who go out there and get it, who do. So as we live our intentional lives, as we act from our open and accepting and allowing stances, as we act from intention, as we act from our passions, from our intuition, we will move with the powerful force of intention towards the manifestations in the future. So the Knight of Wands, the energy, the passion, the inspired action, and the adventure, the sense of adventure, being open and purely allowing the present is an adventurous path. And that is the Knight of Wands. You can see that now Did you notice that in these two very active cards, knights are the active ones, remember? Interestingly, these knights in both of these cards are seated cross-legged. Isn't that a twist? Usually these knights are on horses riding off into adventures of one kind or another, passionate ones or romantic ones, for example. However, these two knights are seated. So we get a kind of Lao Tzu, the way of Tao, the Tao Te Ching idea of action. The master who does nothing allows everything to be done. My quote is not correct. I will put the correct quote below here from one translation of the Chinese. My favorite translation of the Chinese. I'll put it down there. But these two active knights are active not because they are working hard and they're striving and they're struggling and they're working hard, but because they are energetically moving towards what they want. We have the seated Knight of Wands with all of that fire. He is creating. As he sits in his spot, he is actively creating with his powerful trident wand, which is interestingly kind of an echo of Neptune, which would be a water element, but this is the Knight of Wands. Yeah, he is experiencing adventure where he is in the present moment, not running or chasing after it, but being where he is. And right next to him, we have the seated Knight of Cups, the Knight of creativity in a different way. Yeah, the internal creativity, the romance, the charm, the imagination, the sense of beauty. The Knight of Cups, who flows with charm, who flows with beauty, who has a strong connection with their intuition. So, balancing these two, you can see the seated Knight of Cups is allowing all of that water to flow around him. As the Knight of Wands is allowing and creating all of that fire around him, the Knight of Cups is creating and allowing all of that water to flow around him. So balancing those two is what allows us to have a balanced boat on our river of intention, and also avoiding the obstacles of each one. Now, the obstacle perhaps of the Knight of Wands is impulsiveness, impetuousness, hot-headedness, shooting off in one direction or another, being triggered positively or negatively, or impulsive, not feeling the direction of where they're going, but rather, gotta get there. Now, that's something that could be balanced by a cooler head, a cooler feel of the Knight of Cups. Now, the Knight of Cups' drawbacks are that they're perhaps a little bit too gentle, perhaps a little bit too equanimous. Yeah? They don't have enough of that passion or their fire. So, balancing both of those is what we want to do when we move with the powerful force of intention. Having both our fire and our water in balance will allow us to move steadily and openly with the powerful flow of intention. As we point from the past to our future manifestations, with the trajectory of manifestation. What do you think, friends? Does that make sense to you? Can you see how balance is important? How that balance is also important for the other things, for being open. We need that balance to be able to be open in the moment. We need that balance to be able to awaken in the present. We need that balance to be able to dream, to have the freedom to dream. We want that balance. Friends, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. So remember, in just a moment, I will show you the creators of the decks. And again, there will be links below to go if you want to purchase any one or all of these decks. And if you feel called, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, so you get notifications of when I upload videos. And also, share this with someone who you think might be inspired by it, who might get benefit from it. And comment below. I'd love to hear from you. I really would love to hear from you and chat with you if you feel inspired. And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.